beautiful humans. My name is Ariane Andrew.
I'm Matt Dillon, and welcome to another piping hot episode of Sippin' the Tea, where we
Sip the tea and our guests
spill that tea. She's spilling earrings, honey. So yeah, cheers, girl.
Who you got right there?
I got Miss Little Mama. She's giving a little ice cream action today.
And I have little Glitty, and she's giving
Count Dracula.
She's bringing the fire because we bring the fire here at Sippin' the Tea.
Oh, get it, girl. All right, guys. So today we have an up-and-coming actress. Her story started in Russia. She now resides in LA. She is you've probably seen her. She was on the pilot of the Mindy Project, H&M ads. This girl is literally on the cusp of blowing up, and we are super excited to welcome her to the couch. Miss Alena, I can't remember how to say it.
Savostikova.
There you go. Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream
What
work.
up, Boo-Boo? Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me here.
She's like,
Oh gosh, she's on my
we got
team now.
Alena and Miss Mama. How are you, babe?
I'm wonderful. How are you guys today?
You're looking very
Chic.
fashion.
Thank
Yes.
you. That's kind of my thing.
I like. So I kind of want to start, and it's something that I'm familiar with, coming from a different country. What is that process like? Russian born. When did you leave, and how was that transition? Because it's such a different vibe.
Well, see, my journey is a little bit different. Normally people, so I started as an actress, as a child actress. I was a Huggies baby in Russia.
Yes,
My first commercials.
well, we're gonna pull that shit out.
And so basically afterwards, I got into tennis, and I was in the path where I had to either take tennis full-time or do acting full-time. And
That's the other Kornikova.
yes, Sharapova, Kornikova,
Yes. You're all a pretty bunch over there, let me tell you.
Thank you. You have to have the Ova last name to be in tennis. Otherwise, you're not allowed.
Get it.
So, yes, I got into tennis, and I started traveling quite a bit for tennis. My parents sent me to London. I went to boarding school there for a little bit. Then they sent me to Boston. Then I went to Florida, play USTA tournaments.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I was kind of like all over the place, just traveling for sports and doing tournaments. And when I was 16, I had an injury. And it was kind of the point
Always
where...
get you.
Yeah, they always get you. It's like the story of any athlete, right? You get injured, and then the rest of your life happens.
Love it.
Yeah, so I got injured, and that was the end of my tennis career, and that's how I got into modeling. I got signed by an agency. I got shipped off first to Europe, then Asia, did the whole modeling contracts. I really loved it, made great friends, made great money. And then I found myself doing a lot more commercials than other girls because I was shorter. A lot of the girls are like 5'11", 5'10". I'm 5'8", actually 5'7.5".
Get them big heels, honey.
Exactly. And I was just doing a lot of video work, and that's kind of where I naturally fell in. And finally, my mom saw my agent on Russian television, and she thought he was a modeling agent. He's like famous in Russia. It was a documentary about Russians that made it in Hollywood. And she's like, hey, you got to see this guy while you're in town for a job in Los Angeles. And I went to see him, and then I never came back.
Oh, dang, girl.
And this is how I ended up in Hollywood.
Look at that story, though. I mean, think about it. I always say, when one door closes, another one opens.
Always.
So then, okay, you get here, you're here in Russia. So then what happens next with the modeling? What's the first thing that you booked?
Well, because I was already kind of doing a lot of work in Russia for modeling and things here. So it was kind of ironic. So my first national magazine was American Cheerleader. Oh. And I'm a Russian girl doing, I have like an editorial spread in American Cheerleader with pom-poms, staying there smiling and people have no idea that I'm Russian, So it was kind of amazing. I've done a few ads. My big ads are probably from like Calvin Klein and H&M. I do a lot of commercials. I've done SK Telecom, which is in Korea. They're like Verizon. I've done Verizon in the United States.
She's
Adidas,
the All-American Go.
so,
You're giving me that vibe of the All-American Go next door, right?
California. I'm a total Valley girl.
Yes.
Well, I'm from the Valley,
She's
girl.
a Valley
So-
girl.
you are?
What
Valley
part?
girl. Granada Hills.
Oh, really? So how am I
Yeah.
doing? Good?
Girl,
You're the Valley girl?
You're doing a good Valley
Oh, I'm
girl.
going to sip that tea because it's about to go down. in
Cheers.
here.
Cheers.
So, okay, how do you go from modeling and then it goes into acting? So walk us through that story.
For me, it was a very natural transition. So basically, when I came to Los Angeles for a job, when my mom saw my agent, Victor Kruglov, He's like, okay, well, you don't really have any experience. You haven't acted in a while. Let me send you to an audition and see how you do. And, we'll go from there. And the first audition he sent me on, I got a call back. And it was for Pirates of the Caribbean. And it was for that role of a mermaid. And I just assumed everything was going to be that easy. You walk in, they love you, that's it. And I'm like, I'm meant for this. Keep in mind,
Welcome to Hollywood, youngin'.
Keep in mind, I was 17 at the time.
A baby. You're a baby.
Yeah. And so I was just like, and then I told my agent, I'm like, okay, can I get other bookings, other auditions? Like, can I? He's like, well, it doesn't work like that. Like, if you have to move to Los Angeles, you actually have to sign up for classes. You have to study. Like, it's like it's like sports. It's not that easy. Like, you don't just show up at a door. It's like, I've arrived.
Yeah, totally.
And he's like, you have to move here. I'm like, okay. Being naive, being completely green. So I go back to Florida. I pack my car. I pack my little, 2-seater Audi, and I drive across the country by myself. 3 days. It was a nightmare. Like, I don't do road trips anymore.
Yeah. We're done with the road trip.
We're done.
That takes a lot of guts.
I always knew, I always had that, attitude where if I want something, I'm just gonna I'm not gonna second guess myself.
You put yourself in the position where you're best suited to win at that opportunity.
100%.
I mean, at such a young age, I think the development of your story, this is like the second coming, because you were a superstar in the sporting world, and that to me is you kind of had that as a grounding and a foundation to teach you discipline and
100%.
and business side of things and branding. So now coming into this, you're kind of already a few steps ahead in understanding, how it works. And I mean, even being green, it's like the fact that she got in a car and drove from Florida to here is absolutely the start of something big, I think.
Well, the best thing about sports, it's, a lot of people get so in their head, they start second guessing themselves. They never really give themselves a shot they deserve. And sports teaches you discipline. It's like you go on a tennis court every single day, you train. The more you put in is the more you get out. You invest into yourself, you invest into your career. You know what I mean? Like, you're very focused. It teaches you to be focused, and it teaches you to keep the eye on the prize, to keep that goal in mind. And just because you lose a match or you have one bad day, you don't give up.
Yeah.
You don't just go home. It's like, no, this isn't for me. No, you keep at it. You come back the next day and the next day and the next day. And I'm so grateful for my parents for putting me into tennis, for moving to the United States so I would have the opportunity to play tennis, because I wouldn't be where I am in life and have the mentality that I did if it wasn't for sports. And I suggest that for everybody, not tennis. I mean, tennis is great. But sports, giving your child or giving yourself the opportunity it's a form of meditation. It's a form of exercise.
Sports, honey, but not that kind of sport.
Wait, what's your kind of sport?
Yeah, we were water sports, fire sports, all kinds of sports.
Oh. Or some other type of sports.
Yeah. Google water sports.
Anyways.
Awkward.com.
She's hyperventilating. Yeah.
I like this.
She's awake. She's like, again?
So would you suggest that for people who, are interested in doing modeling and acting to take on some form of hobby that makes them focus?
100%. Just even besides, so sports is not just good for your body. I know with being in front of a camera, a lot of us develop body dysmorphia. And
it's that's something very serious for real.
It's serious, but
for men and women, I must say, because it's you can't help what your mind dictates to you when you look in a mirror.
Of course. And sometimes we all have great hair days, great body days. Sometimes you wake up looking like a peach, and the other days you will looking like a pumpkin.
Girl, I was pumpkin this morning, but look at me now.
So I think just going out there, whether it's a gym, yoga, it doesn't have. There's so many different things out there. Just even going for a walk, keeping yourself active. It just puts you in that great headspace. It gets you out of your head, and it gets you moving. Your mind and your body, they're connected completely.
So true.
I'm a big activist for that. I love that. I just, whenever I'm having a bad day or whenever I'm stressed out, whenever things are not going the way I want them to go, I get myself to the gym, or I get myself on a tennis court, or I even go for a hike or a steam room.
The hike is everything. That was me earlier this week. I was like, ooh.
You were hanging with your bae, honey. The hike and the sauna.
The sauna.
You just gotta get out of the house.
Yeah.
I was like, if you can walk out the house and actually just breathe and take something in from the outside the schedule that like everybody's on the grind, on the hustle.
The hustle and bustle.
It just clicks your mind over into a different state. So really, I really, that was something fascinating, like the sport into where you are now. So with the acting, you've got Mindy Project was the first pilot. You booked the pilot.
Yes, so I booked the pilot, which was amazing. It was so funny because the casting director brought me in. This was a while back, first of all. I don't think the Mindy Project is on anymore.
No, but Mindy Project was iconic, honey, and she's mega
Mindy
mother.
Kaling is amazing.
Yeah.
She's a brilliant, inspirational woman. So when my agent called me, they brought me into casting. They brought me into the callback 3 times. I really thought the casting director really didn't like me. Like I was still very young. I think I was like 19 or 20 at the time. And she wanted me to get the role. And a lot of times in the industry, you don't really understand. You don't see things from the perspective of the other side. You only see it from your side.
True.
And sometimes when people are really pushing you, you think like, why are they so tough on me, you know? And I realized like she thought I was right for the part and she just wanted to make sure, you know what I mean? She kept pushing me and pushing me. And I got the role, you know? So I'm super grateful for her. But I didn't get it at the time, you know? I was just like, oh, maybe they don't like me.
Perspective, looking at something from the other flip side of the coin is an amazing thing because it really gives you that ability to be like, didn't understand it in the moment.
Yeah.
But years later, it's like, oh, the coin drops. And you're like,
what I
I'm
realize
so
now, having friends that are directors, like, you know, or casting directors, it's like people are on your team. Everybody, if you're in the room, people want you to do your best job. They want you to book the role. They're on your team. It makes them look good. It makes you look good. Everybody, like if you see things from a more optimistic perspective, and they really do want you to book the job. I'm sorry, your dog. I stole your dog. I'm like the dog whisperer.
No, Mama was like, wait, what?
Yeah, she's like, tell me. So I'm gonna drop a few little things because I don't think you realize it, and I don't think you do. Ariane's in the industry too, as we know, and she's doing a short film, and the editor of her short film happens to be one of your dear friends, Art.
Oh, really?
From Trilogy Media.
Oh,
they're best friends.
Oh my gosh, that's like he's like my brother.
They're family.
I love Art.
It's the Russian mafia girl.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's Ashton.
Yeah, but they're all together.
Yeah.
I know Ashton too, yeah.
So Ashton's the one who's editing the short film right now.
That's amazing. What a small world.
I was sitting here, I was like, let me just bring the people together.
We met on a music video for Placebo, like way back in the day. It was one of the coolest videos. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about the projects I'm working on now because they're all amazing. But that music video, I get so much, people like recognize me from it. It's crazy. Like
Placebo's rock star. Like that's
but the video itself, the whole team, it was incredible. Like the whole concept. I haven't done anything similar to it ever before or afterwards. And that's where I met Art, you know? And so basically, let me just give you a little breakdown of what the video is.
Sippin, girl.
It's a typical video. I have to tell you all about it.
A little sip.
Let us know, girl. What?
So basically, something happens in a video in the storyline, you know, and my character, like, you know, I end up throwing up in the video on a guy.
And I'm glad
I've got to swallow that too,
I
girl.
was holding the coffin. Now I get to let it out.
And so they were trying to, so it keeps going playback. It's almost like the butterfly effect. So it's like, why'd she throw up? Is she pregnant? Is she thick? Does she have to eat hot dogs? Is it this? Is it this? So they kept playing the like scene where I keep like puking on the guy, and it was pretty hilarious.
We gotta pull this shit up and check it out.
And this is like all in slow-mo. Like, so you get like, I gotta say, I'm a professional puker.
I mean, that's a first. This is an exclusive on the set, a professional puker.
I've never heard of
That's
that.
your resume.
And that's where I met Art. While I was puking, like he was playing a water polo player, and we were shooting. It was like 40-mile-per-hour winds. It was freezing. It was somewhere in like Thousand Oaks or somewhere in like in the valley, you know. It was so cold, and he was just like, he comes up to me and he's like, can you please get your puking right so I don't have to keep jumping in and out of this freezing cold pool?
Yes, girl.
Yeah, so, and ever since, we've been best friends.
Hey,
It is-
craziest ways of how people.
And this is like 9 years ago.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So tell us about the projects that you have coming up. I know you have a film, a VR film,
Yeah.
which is pretty groundbreaking.
It's amazing. So I did a film. It's called The Freaking Weekend. You guys should check it out. It's VR. It's Amaze VR.
Wait, putting it on now.
I was doing VR films back in the day in Japan, and when I would come back here and tell my friends about it, nobody understood what I was doing because this wasn't something that was available for the masses, and I think it was expensive. And now it was only for gamers that were really using the Oculus technology, and now it's more available for people, for everybody else.
We're here.
You guys.
For you guys at home.
It's really cool. It's an interactive film. So I don't know if you guys seen the Black Mirror episode.
I have.
It's fascinating where it's like you kind of choose your own ending as you go. So I was shooting this back in December, and when I was trying to describe to people what I'm doing, nobody understood. And then this episode came out. They're like, "Wait, isn't that what you were kind of doing?" I'm like, "Exactly."
Boom,
You're
connected.
like it. Now all I have to say is like Black Mirror. People are like, okay. I play two characters. It's kind of couples retreat meets Freaky Friday, where we switch bodies after. Well, I can't ruin it for you.
Yeah, I'm like, don't
Just
spill
a
too
li-
much,
just a
tea
li-
girl.
It's really fun. It's comedic. I play Oksana, the Russian, she's very hardest. And then I play the Lily, the all-American California girl. So I'm kind of playing myself, if you think about it.
Listen,
Nothing wrong with that.
that's so funny. So you have that, and then you just shot recently with like a major K-pop artist.
I did, yes.
That is like the biggest craze right now, this K-pop.
K-pop is huge. And I used to also live in Seoul, so I'm a little bit into the whole like K-pop scene, and I'm obsessed with it. But that's just
so tell
me.
us, it's one of the leads from
BAP. It's BAP, yeah. BAP.
BAP's popping.
Yeah, it's Young Jay, and he is going solo with his career. And this is his first single and his first video, and I can't wait for you guys to check it out, and I can't say anything more about it.
We will cut it there, girl.
Okay, so for everybody out there who's living under a rock, tell them where they can follow you at and watch your space, girl.
Bam.
Well, you guys can check out my website, which is just my last name, savostikova.com, Savostikova. And my Instagram, I always post live updates on my new projects. My Instagram handle is Liforsash, Liforsash. And stay tuned for my new project. Definitely check out Freaking Weekend on Amaze VR. You guys are going to love it.
Yes.
Ooh, yes. You guys can follow me across the board at Ariane Andrew, and this little fiery nugget at Glitty Glit. Yes, we bring the fire.
CountDracula.com. You can follow me at Matt Dillon 1983, and well, its mama's disappeared. Oh, she going home with the Russian.
I stole her.
Oh my God.
I'm like the dog whisperer.
Wow, add that to your resume too, girl. Thank you so much for coming. Let's cheers it out, guys.
Do a
Thanks for
little
having me,
cheers.
guys.
All right, guys.
Let's Strovia, right?
That's better.
Yes, enjoy this latte. It's not vodka, I promise.
Until next week, guys, on Sippin' the Tea.
Catch you later.
Woo!
Yeah, you got the wrong number. Click.